We're out here at Paul's again, gonna check up on the 240. It's got paint on it, so buckle up, put it in gear. Let's get the show on the road. All right, so you are gonna see color today. Here's Paul. Tell us what you did this week.
So much. There was a lot of prep work that needed to be finished between last week and what we did yesterday. Had to finish sand some of the Bondo. You'll see some of that in some of the segments I did. And yesterday was like a whirlwind. I had help over here. I had somebody sanding the car while I was prepping panels, doing a lot of block sanding of the fill prime. And also got a lot of new parts in, so stuff is actually getting ready to go back on the car. That's good.
Yeah, we were just talking about parts. Here's one little box here.
Yeah, this size box plus the door panels over here, which I could show those actually. Very nice quality door panels. Beautiful. Very nice. Nicely padded. The seam sealing, heat sealing is very nice on them. But yeah, those two boxes on a car like this is $1,700, and we're talking about little things like, you know. But
the box isn't full. There's still space.
Well, it had a glove box in it. It had this in there, but that's empty space also. So yeah, this thing is nuts expensive to do. But you know, suspension parts, little trim pieces, all of it just added up. I even got a genuine Nissan oil filter. This is kind of cool.
Oh, nice blue.
Yep, actual genuine,
awesome
original filter. So this is the block, and they came originally in sort of a mid to light blue, I guess you'd say. You can see how they painted it. It almost looks like they just took a brush and painted them. There's even a run here, and this is bare metal. That never even got paint on it from Nissan. So obviously ours will be better than that. And what I'm gonna do is wax out a piece of this good paint right here and match it up to one of these blues. I'm suspecting it's gonna be maybe this 5205. But yeah, we'll see a little closer once that's clean.
And that wouldn't have any metallics in it or anything, right?
No, these are all solids.
All right, so you got some blocking done on this fill primer, right?
Correct. This is completely ready to paint. Just needs to be wiped down and then pass a Scotch-Brite over it real quickly to just, you know, knock the, open up the surface, because the primer's been on there a little while. But yeah, this has been sanded with 400 grit sandpaper, wet, and basically took off all that guide coat. Before I get too far with finishing this panel, I thought that I might show one of the tools of the trade. Earlier I showed you the flat block, which is this one. It's like a foot long block for like long flat surfaces. Well, I'm doing a fender lip right now. Just a little bit of an indentation right here before, so just put a little bit of Bondo here, sorry, body filler here, and now I need to make this curvature on the top, well, the complete edge. So this is a round block with 80 grit on it, and I'll just basically take that and kind of start rolling it in to that curvature there. And I already got a lot of it done, but then I realized I should at least, you know, show this step. So doing that, and at the same time working on blocking out the primer on the car. It's done basically, but in the back I found a couple of little very spots so low, I mean so minuscule. They are low, but they're just so thin that you can just feel them but not really see them. So just one little final skim of filler on those, and I'll reprime that back corner. Wherever there's body filler, you have to prime it, because if you don't, the body filler is porous, and 100% guarantee you will see the paint. I mean the body filler through the paint, and so that has to be sealed. Other thing that I'm working on right now is the doors and fenders are in the paint booth, ready, almost ready for primer. Still working out the little imperfections like this. Then I have to sand all the inside and outside, get everything rust-free, clean, and then I'll trim everything out, which means paint the backside of everything. And once that's done, it's basically assemble the doors and fenders onto the car with all the fasteners in place, because originally this car would have been painted with the fenders on it, so the fasteners get painted and look nice through the gap between the hood and the fender. Hello, and welcome to literally the worst part of painting a car, the sanding. The block sanding of the fill primer. So this is all fill primed with an epoxy high build primer. And then what I do is come back with the small block like that. And after the panel is painted, primed, with this, in this case, 2 really heavy coats. Spray it with a cheap flat black paint, just a spray can paint to give it this, I don't know if you can tell, but it has like black splatters on it. And pretty much just wet that and start sanding. And keep sanding. And then you sand some more. Oh, then after that you continue to sand even more until all the black is gone and you have a nice smooth surface. If there were any scratches or slight imperfections in it, it'll take that out, and you end up with a nice smooth perfect surface. That's how you see these hot rods with the glassy smooth sides, is they did a lot of this. So I'm gonna get back to it. Well, it's been 3 days and I'm finally getting done with it. What's that? Oh, I'm being informed that it wasn't 3 days, it just like 45 minutes? Okay, well, anyway, it feels like 3 days because I absolutely hate doing this part. But I'm done with this fender. It's now sanded down. You can see there's no, maybe you can see it, I don't know, but there is no more black paint. Everything is really smooth. No dimples or any kind of chips or divots in this fender. So this one's ready. It's going to be probably a while before it gets actually painted. So before paint, it'll get a good scuffing with the Scotch-Brite. But for the most part, it's all done. And so we did the doors and fenders, and the next step is going to be to today paint the backs of the fenders with an epoxy primer, black epoxy primer, and then actually mount them on the car permanently, fully bolted in, because they're getting painted with the body.
So I wanted to talk about that. I've seen cars, and I'm sure you guys have too, where when you look at it, here's the fender, here's the door. You can tell when something's been blocked or prepared off of the car and then put together, because when you're sanding this, you're kind of pulling down like this, and then you do the same on the door, but then when you put them together, it leaves a valley right here, right?
It would have to be pretty thick filler or something like that. I mean, if it's just bare metal, first of all, I make it a point to not round off corners like that. You would, when you're blocking, you want to just keep it straight with the panel, and that way you end up with just a nice straight line. But having no filler here, this is just pure metal. It won't matter. It's going to be straight.
Yeah. Yeah, when you put them together and block it all, it just looks like it's been cut from a piece of billet.
Right.
Just perfect.
What you could do is you could assemble the car, pre-assemble it, then you could block everything out and then disassemble the car again if it was that critical, but this won't be. This is just pretty much a metal edge to metal edge. None of that was damaged. Didn't film the beginning part of this, but this is kind of an interesting piece. This is the fuse panel cover It was cracked. It was cracked in half, actually. So you can see here. Oh, it's also very expensive. A decent one like this is $300-400 can be. So yeah, we don't want to pay that. So what I did was, first thing, epoxied it together. You can see there's an epoxy line using a special plastic weld epoxy. This JB Weld stuff here works really nice. They don't sponsor us or anything, but I like their products. So what I did was, body filler is basically plastic. It's polyester resin. And so what I did was I built this blob of resin up, because this complete corner was gone. So what I'm going to do is, if you catch the filler at the right time, you can actually shape it with, you can sort of sculpt it like this with a razor blade. If you go real slow with it, you can just kind of shave it down, and I can get rid of most of the excess before even having to sand it. So I don't have to sand all this off and make dust. While it's still kind of soft, you can shave it like cheese almost. So that's what I'm doing right now, is just kind of getting this to shape, the general shape. And then I'll start working with Dremel. Look at that, it just shaves right off of there. Kind of neat. Have to save every piece you possibly can for these things, because A, there aren't a ton of them around anymore, and B, all these parts are stupid expensive. So just one more thing, like what I'm starting to do is work on a lot of interior pieces, because once the body is painted, almost immediately we can start assembling things. The very first thing that goes back in the car is the heater box, heater core, heater, fan box and all that, because that's mounted to the firewall. So we're in the process of refurbishing that, and also refurbishing the dash panels, also very expensive.
Here's all the work he's done. This is the corner that he's been working on here, and now that it's in primer, you said you can see some slight imperfections. You want to point them out and then explain how you can fix them.
Yeah, it's nice having this primer being sort of like a semi-gloss, and you can see even the reflection in the video there. Some of these body lines are just a little bit humped. So what I'll do now is take a block and just concentrate on this one spot and bring this area down until this line's perfectly straight. So now is the time that all that can get finished, but all of the imperfections are out of this filler, and everything is like really smooth all the way up to here. So I can easily just quickly block all this down, except for this spot, and it's basically ready to put paint on.
So here's the side that doesn't have any damage, and you can kind of see what he's talking about, that hump that was right here on the other side.
Yeah, it's nice and straight right here. That's what I'm going to get the other side to look like. It won't take much, just a little blocking, to get the top surface to come down and meet this line. No big deal, but this side hasn't been blocked yet. A little bit, but not finished.
All right, so you've been waiting for the color, and honestly, I'll tell you in a minute, there's been some hints all over these videos and the thumbnails. But Paul, you want to talk to him about it?
Yep, yesterday we actually got to lay down some paint, and we did the engine compartment and the rear. The color is 112 yellow lime. It's an original Nissan color for these 71 to 73, and I wanted the wildest color they made. There are plenty beautiful colors, not brown, that they made back then, and this was my pick because it's so wild.
And you actually had a poll on your Facebook page, and you had a couple options, and almost no one picked this color.
The people that loved it, and there were a lot of naysayers, but you know what? That's why I picked this color. No, it really is just a pretty color. It's really stunning in person. I knew it would be. I've never actually seen one this color in person, but I could tell that it was just going to really pop.
I picked this color. I really, really like this color. And when you're going to get this kind of car that's going to get eyeballs on it anyway, I think an outlandish color is the way to go.
Right, and it's also it shows off the lines really well. The orange does too. I think the silver does to a lesser degree. Various colors show different reflectivity. This one is gonna really look good on these swooping fenders and stuff. This color is gonna really pop. That's my blueprint there.
Are you doing the stripes too?
No.
No. And that's those hubcaps you're talking about that aren't too pretty.
No, they're not the prettiest, but they are original, and I will be able to get a set, at least as an option.
Yeah.
To go back and forth.
Now, if you watched episode 1, where we sat in front of this car, we were sitting in some chairs that were purposely put there by me. That's the way I thought about it, at least. That's a little hint in the color. It's not exact.
No, but it's a line, more of a greenish lime green.
But it's pretty close. And then in all the thumbnails, you'll go back and you'll see colors that, you know, some good hints there.
And we're looking forward to maybe next weekend shooting the rest of the car.
Yes, possibly. Next episode we'll have paint going on this car. Hopefully, fingers crossed.
Yeah, that's the plan.
Are we still on schedule for the Road Atlanta trip?
Oh, actually, maybe better, because at this point, once the body's painted and as the new parts come in, like today, I'm probably going to prep the heater core and some things that mount to the firewall. And truthfully, at where we are now, the body is going to be masked off when the outside gets painted. I'm sorry, the interior will be masked off. So whatever I put on the inside is protected. So once the body's painted, I have new pieces all over this place, and pieces like the suspension parts that literally just need to be sanded and assembled. So we can start throwing parts at the car, and it's going to come to, the way I look at it is it's going to move really fast for a while, and then I'll start seeing things that I'm missing and have to, make some orders and things like that. But we can get the majority of this thing together with just what we have sitting in this room.
Right, and I walked in and I saw new parts on the car already.
First new parts, yeah.
And then the data plate.
I stamped the data plate to match the car and the engine number.
Engine bay painted. You got what's all this called here on this car?
Wheel well.
The wheel wells.
Yeah, wheel arch, wheel well.
The cowls painted, cleared. Nice.
This actually shows through the cowl cover panel. So it's from here to the same thing on the other side, and right along here. Today, I'm going to mask everything off and paint this all semi-flat black, semi-gloss black.
So you don't want it body color showing
it'll show through the cowl if you don't. It was that way from the factory. This was all brush painted black.
Gotcha. I saw some of the interiors painted. I guess this is parts you'll see.
Yeah, when you lift up the carpet, you can see in here. So I did it this color, and it's going to get Dynamat and stuff. These are the tool bins. They're not fully locked down yet, but that's the jack bin and such. That'll also get Dynamat lined.
Now, from the factory, was all this done nice and pretty colors? It
would have been painted.
Like the outside?
No, it was all single stage paint.
Oh, okay.
And they would have painted in here, but it wasn't as thick as the exterior. It was like they have one coated the interior. Interestingly, inside of the doors, let's say, the paint was so light that there was actually bare metal in there. The only paint that got in the doors is as the person painted across the door holes in the backside. Whatever paint flew in there was all it ever got. So there's actually some bare metal spots, not anymore, but there were bare metal spots. Now I stuck the gun in there and put epoxy primer all over everything.
Talk about putting Dynamat and undercoating and all that. You want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, so originally this car would have had a tar, what they do is they take a tar, paper looking substance, lay on there, and then they heat it up with a torch and it would melt down onto the paint. You can see some remnants of it where it's hard to clean off. A lot of people use dry ice, which makes it super cold, and you just hit it with a hammer and it shatters. They probably did that on this one because it's all clean. What I'm gonna do is use we say Dynamat because it's kind of like saying Crescent Wrench, but it's a different brand. But it's a sound deadening foil-backed tar type stuff that, here's a good example. It'll make this sound more like, that's even a bad example, but dead. But you can hear that ring. That sounds like a bell. And so driving down the road, that thing's going ringing and all. So I'm going to coat that completely in sound deadener and also all these surfaces. That's the bass. That's the treble.
Yeah, sound comes from vibrations, objects moving, the air, and that's what the sound is. So when you can take that vibration out of an object, you're killing the sound as much as possible.
Yeah, and it's going to add a little bit of weight, but I mean, it came with the stuff in it. It came with something similar in it, and I want to put sound deadening back in.
And you're also spraying it undercoating, or no? Did I misunderstand that?
There's a lot of undercoat already under it, but I've gotten yellow overspray on it. So just to make everything nice and even, I'm going to put one good even coat of undercoating taped off in nice lines, and get all the bottom undercoat flat black, and then to contrast that, all my suspension pieces will be gloss black. So it'll look
nice.
It's been what I've done on some other cars. It looks really pretty.
We hope you never flip the car, but when you do, it'll be beautiful.
Well, you can lay down and look under it. You feel free to do that. I might park on mirrors.
I was looking at this roll pan earlier. It came out great. You want to explain how this car normally looks on a stock car?
Yeah, the seam is here and comes like here and then in like this. And because of the filler that I had to put to correct all these damages, I ended up just filling that gap in. It may or may not crack, but I don't think it will, because this will be held solid. So I think we should be fine. New bumpers are ordered, by the way.
Nice,
so
nice.
Those are going to be in about a month.
Do they make them as you order them, or you think they have a stock of them?
No, they're special order. We ordered 3 sets because we have 3 Zs that we're working on currently. Well, actually, Fred's is done, but he wants new bumpers. There's a 280 that we're converting to 240 bumpers. I say we, my cousin is. And then this one, and they're actually made of polished stainless. They're beautiful. So, but they're coming from Thailand, so I have to wait a while.
Yeah, and we keep talking about Fred's car. He's going to have to show up one day.
Just missed him, actually. He
Really?
came by this morning in it. I looked at a few things because I needed some. I use his car as a reference a lot of times for certain things. Now I know that I need to put in screw holes and where they go. How the interior was finished in a few ways, things like that. But yeah, maybe next week we can get him to come over and you can see that sucker.
Yeah. Now, questions we can ask him, but just real quick, did he buy that car that way? How long was his process? What was the whole deal with that car?
He bought the car, drove it around our friend Dave's yard, and basically it started taking it apart instantly and completely disassembled it almost this far. He still had his dashboard in, and I think the wiring harness was still in it when he painted his, but everything else was just like this.
Speaking of wiring harnesses, do they make a new one for this? Are you getting a new one?
No, in fact, check it out. That's another thing, that's a fairly easy goal to accomplish for today, because all it has to do is be unrolled and start cleaning it. If I could get my lovely assistant out here, she could clean it. That'd be fun. A fun little project. But no, this is, whoa, that's an extra gauge that doesn't go with this harness at all or the car. Just got caught up. That's an oil pressure gauge that somebody had modded. But anyway, this is these are the under engine and body harness. Actually, I just said that reverse, but whatever. They just need to be cleaned. They're all original. And one cool thing about them being out of the car like this is I'm putting in relays for the headlights, high and low beam. I can incorporate them right into the harness so it looks factory, and the relays will just mount under the dash, and you'll never be able to tell because they'll be in the tape.
Is that something that was not factory?
No, it wasn't. The Nissan originally ran the full voltage of the headlights through the stalk switch.
Oh, ouch.
And so they would end up melting down.
Yeah.
So we putting the relays in takes all the load off of that switch and makes it last longer.
Absolutely.
And the older headlights were just seal beam, normal filament headlights. The halogen headlights draw more current, so that's another reason.
Nice. Now, you guys have seen this car in the background on these videos, but it also has its own spotlight video right here on the channel, so search for that. I see a fender mirror.
Oh, yeah. Those. And today when I do the fender prep, I'm going to go ahead and drill the holes for these. This is the driver's side, the left side. These are replicas of the original JDM fender mirrors. We can show you where they go. Unlike the door mirrors, these sit about, be about right here on the fender.
And look how far that is from where you're sitting.
Yeah, they're pretty worthless, I think. I don't think you can see much out of them. I mainly did it because I like the way they look.
But they do look nice.
Yeah.
In the muscle car world, we call this an acorn mirror. It looks like an acorn. I don't know what they call it in
Bullet.
Japan. Bullet mirror.
Bullet mirror. The cool thing about these, as opposed to like my MG had flag mirrors on the fenders, everybody hit them. And you know what was crazy? If somebody hit it, it would stay out of adjustment for the longest time. And so I'd say, okay, I'll just fix it. Somebody would hit it again. Like, it was weird. But
That's right. How do you adjust these from your driver's seat?
you don't.
though?
No, you have to.
You don't.
You have to have an assistant outside, and then when they get it right, when you can see out of it, you tighten this screw, and that locks it. But the cool thing is, you can just hit this, and it won't come out of adjustment. So
we don't suggest hitting.
no, don't do it. I'm just saying, if
part of the car.
If someone happened to brush it, that's the stalk I was talking about. That's the headlight / windshield wiper stalk. And something interesting, maybe, is the turn signals on the American spec cars are more complicated because they literally have to turn off a brake light. There's brake lights on the turn signal. I mean, the brake lights light both of these on the American cars because we figured likely it was because of some stupid American regulation that you had to have a certain amount of surface area for your brake light lens. So the Japanese models have only this, but ours had to have this as a more brake light lens. The Japanese ones would have been amber here. Well, going back to the switch, what happens is if your brakes are on, the switch has to kill this filament and become a turn signal. So it made the circuitry, the wiring, all way more complicated. And also you can't use the JDM, well, you could, but you'd have a amber brake light, so.
I see a new radiator as well.
Yes, yeah, lots of new parts have come in, boxes and boxes of the new stuff, taillight gaskets and all the mechanical parts, belts, hoses, tune-up set, even bought a electronic ignition for it. Yeah, new radiator. So all those parts not only will look prettier, but function better.
Here's the one speaker that comes in the car from the factory that Paul has talked about. Of course, this one's a little blown.
Yeah.
But I just unknowingly assumed it was in the dashboard like a normal person.
No.
But no. Paul, where's it go?
In the far back left. So basically behind the driver and behind the shock tower, there's only one. So it's only that one little speaker, and it had an AM radio that had like, I don't know, 3 watts or something.
Good Lord.
So basically useless.
Yeah.
I think it's a Hitachi speaker made by, I forget, it just says Japan, but this is the original. This is one of the original.
That would drive audiophiles nuts.
It's got either rat-eaten or just rotten from, it's 53 years old, 52 years old, 3.
Well, guys, there's the color. You saw it all. There's parts coming in probably every day, huh?
Yeah, the carpets and interior pieces should start coming in pretty soon. I know the taillights should be in tomorrow.
Next time you see it, probably be spraying some paint on it.
Woohoo!
Are fully done already. We don't know. It kind of just goes by the weather too, as well.
The weather and just how much time. Like if an evening comes up that me and Mitch are free, I might to bring it there.
Right. South Louisiana and what's today? The November
24th,
mid to late November, and it's 70 degrees outside.
Prime painting weather, by the way. Like, this is beautiful. You can't get better. Low humidity and in the 70s like this, it's just ideal.
Yeah, but last weekend it was in the 40s.
Yep,
So
or raining.
You just never know around here. We'll see you guys on the next one, but until then, just drive it.